You don't think what's happening in Gaza is a genocide?
Correct.
Okay, but so what is a genocide to you?
A genocide is the attempt to forcibly destroy an entire population, which is not what has happened. In fact, the best proof that this is not, in fact, a purposeful genocide is the fact that Hamas is hiding behind civilians. The reason you hide behind civilians is because you know your enemy doesn't want to kill civilians. Right? If you believe that your enemy doesn't care about killing civilians, you wouldn't hide among civilians. That wouldn't be a defense mechanism.
This was priceless. Ben Shapiro pressed on genocide by the Breakfast Club and Charlamagne the God. And he gave them an education on what genocide actually is. Check it out.
I want to go back to your book in a second, but I'm glad you said that because you don't think what's happening in Gaza is a genocide?
Correct.
Okay, but the world's leading association of genocide scholars has declared that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza based off the pure definition of.
Well, it's not actually. If you read their actual study, it's not based on the quote unquote pure definition of genocide. They don't actually even define genocide in the document, and they basically went out to their membership. But they didn't go out to the entire membership. They went out to a generic membership. It is very easy to join the International Association of Genocide Scholars. In fact, there were several people yesterday who just signed up and were immediately admitted, even though they have no actual background in genocide. The question is not whether some sort of coterie of people who call themselves experts in an issue are quote-unquote experts on the issue. The question is whether the definition is met. The definition of genocide is not met in Gaza by any stretch of the imagination. And you can cite to me, a group that I hadn't heard of until 2 seconds ago, and nobody had heard of until 2 seconds ago, that voted in a particular way. That doesn't make a difference definitionally.
So what is a genocide to you?
A genocide is the attempt to forcibly destroy an entire population, which is not what has happened.
So it's not the attacks on like the personal facilities needed for like survival, like healthcare and educational institutions.
Well, again, Israel has shipped in more humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip than literally any army to a population that supports the enemy in literally all of human history. They've been shipping in about 4,400 calories per day per person into the Gaza Strip in the middle of a war in which the enemy is holding actual Israeli hostages underground who, as we've seen from some of the pictures, are actually starving. Again, none of this is to claim that the war is pretty or meticulous or anodyne, because it isn't. It's really, really, really ugly. But over the course of this war, about 3% of the Gazan population has been killed or wounded. If you're going to look at an actual genocide, obviously the prototypical case being the Holocaust, you're looking at 50% of the entire Jewish population in Europe destroyed. If you're looking at other attempted genocides, say the genocides in Rwanda, you're talking about extraordinarily high percentages of the population that are wiped out. You certainly are not seeing procedures that require 4 layers of actual legal authority in order to do a drone strike. And I've actually seen the tape of them doing this in Israel. They actually, if they spot from the air a terrorist who's going into a particular civilian area, you have to take like a full minute where the pilot on the drone calls up the legal authority, who then calls up the higher legal authority to get clearance for the actual drone strike, and they will call off the drone strike if they believe that the military target is too costly in terms of civilian casualties. I mean, Hamas knows this, which is why they're hiding among civilians. In fact, the best proof that this is not, in fact, a purposeful genocide is the fact that Hamas is hiding behind civilians. The reason you hide behind civilians is because you know your enemy doesn't want to kill civilians. Right? If you believe that your enemy doesn't care about killing civilians, you wouldn't hide among civilians. That wouldn't be a defense mechanism.
Do you think Israel needs a regime change?
Israel's a democracy. They've had, I think, 5 elections in the last 4 years. There probably will be election again in March. I do not think that Israel would be conducting this war very differently if there were somebody else in power. And I actually know every Israeli prime minister for the last 10 years, including the ones who are on the opposite side. People like Yair Lapid, who's on the opposite side, or Naftali Bennett, who's on the opposite side.
So the reason why I found this so funny is because, well, first of all, great job by Ben Shapiro there, just prime Ben Shapiro. The reason why I found it so funny is because Charlamagne the God confronts him with this leading genocide scholars declaring it a genocide. You can go online, like Ben pointed out, and you can become a genocide scholar for $30. Tomorrow, you can become a genocide scholar. So these people are just a bunch of lowlifes who, decided to create this like scam of an organization that can admit anybody to be a genocide scholar. So if you want to be a genocide scholar tomorrow, you can be one. You pay them money. So there's no credibility. And Piers Morgan did the same thing. Piers Morgan actually started his show the other day talking about how the world's leading genocide scholars decided to declare Israel and Gaza a genocide. What's happening in Gaza is a genocide, according to the world's leading genocide scholars. And the problem is reports like that go out, and before they can even get fact checked, they're all over the world. So Piers Morgan talks about it. Charlamagne the God believes it. All these big podcasters just have it in their brain, right? And until it gets corrected, and even if it does get corrected, it's already too late. It's already gone all over the world. And I want to commend Ben Shapiro here for not really losing his cool and for sort of just giving him like a, listen, you don't know what you're talking about. Obviously you're misinformed, and Israel is not committing a genocide. And I think another important point that he pointed out is if Hamas really felt like Israel was committing a genocide, if they really felt, if Israel was committing a genocide, why would Hamas go and hide behind civilians? Because in that case, what's the point of having civilian infrastructure at the end of the day? What's the point of hiding and using civilians as human shields? If they don't care, if they're trying to commit a genocide and kill everybody, then why do you care as Hamas to hide in civilian infrastructure? Maybe just be out in the open like a regular army, because Israel's bombing indiscriminately, right? So they don't care about civilian infrastructure. But obviously they do, and that's why Hamas hides behind the Gazan civilians. So again, great job, Ben Shapiro. I think that Charlamagne the God needs to do some research before bringing that up and quoting Hamas propaganda. I think in general, Hamas propaganda is quoted so often in the international media, whether it be podcasters like Joe Rogan, whether it be Piers Morgan, whether it be mainstream media, actually is now just adopting whatever Hamas says as the truth. And these corrections almost don't impact at all. And some people even say you shouldn't even say the word genocide, even if when you're trying to debunk it, because even bringing it up and even trying to counteract it is like giving it credibility, right? The more I say genocide, the more people think genocide, Gaza, Israel, genocide. People start associating Israel with the term genocide. So now Israel is, anytime people think Israel, people think Gaza genocide. And that's a problem. And that's really, really hard to combat. And confronting it and correcting it sometimes isn't enough. It's about creating a counterculture and making people understand something about Israel that's not associated with the war. Thank you for watching this video. You can go to our merchandise store, IsraelUncensored.com. And Ben Shapiro's new book, Lions and Scavengers, just came out. So I definitely recommend you check it out. I'll leave the link in the description below. If you believe in what we do here over at Jewish Uncensored, consider supporting us in a few different ways. You can support us monetarily by going to buymeacoffee.com/Jewish Uncensored. You can also go to our new merchandise store, IsraelUncensored.com, where we just dropped a bunch of new merch. Additionally, to gain access to exclusive content, you can go to our memberships tab on this channel and join there. And finally, you can share this video with both family and friends in order to share this message with the world. Thank you so much for your support.